As the gentleman from Texas, Dr. Burgess, for 5 minutes.
I thank the chair and Speaker Gingrich. It's good to have you in committee again, even if it's only virtually. And we always appreciate what you have to say. And this time you did not disappoint. You gave me a new term, suicide by hubris. And I think that's one that we all ought to incorporate into our discussion. I'm struck by the fact that it is probably too late to do anything to save this Congress. I hope it is not too late to do anything to save this administration. But Speaker Gingrich gives us some important food for thought as we approach the next Congress that, if nothing else, we shouldn't be wasting money. Now, Dr. Hoynes has pointed out the earned income tax credit is a value. You lower the incidence of low birth weight infants with the earned income tax credit. You improve test scores of children and the increased probability of someone completing high school. All of those are good things. But then according to the IRS's own website, 21 to 26% of EITC payments are improper payments. Now, that's not to say fraud, but improper payments. And they even suggest that maybe it's the complexity of filing for EITC that leads to those improper payments. But I guess, Mr. Speaker, my question to you is, do you think in the next Congress the type of oversight from this budget committee to really drill down on where these improper payments are and why they are occurring? And look, we could boost the EITC budget by 25% if we just paid for things that actually mattered.
Well, Congressman Burgess, first of all, thank you. It's always good to be with you, and I appreciate it. Let me go back to what I thought was the very heartfelt questions of the representative from the Virgin Islands, because if you have a community of poverty, it's very hard to help the children get out of poverty, since by the time they become adults, they're going to be still trapped in a community of poverty. And we know that there are steps you can take that can dramatically transform it, but it has to be holistic. It has to approach the safety issue. It has to approach infrastructure. It has to approach the kind of incentives needed to create jobs so that a community of poverty ends up as a community of opportunity. Now, let me apply that to your question. I'm fascinated that California lost $20 billion in unemployment compensation, apparently from the district attorney who I interviewed for one of my podcasts, largely to criminals in the California prisons using the California prison computers for identity theft. Now, north of California, Washington State lost about $600 million, apparently largely to Nigerians who were operating out of places like Lagos, using, again, identity theft. If you take every requirement to make the Virgin Islands a flourishing paradise in the Caribbean, it's probably less than 10% of what was stolen by criminals in California, let alone across the whole country. So I would hope that the process of looking at fraud, theft, which, by the way, really affects Medicaid and Medicare in some states, the process of looking at why does the system not work correctly, I would hope this would be a major part of this committee's assignment next year. And I think you'll be shocked at how much money you can liberate and you can take away from criminals and return back to the purposes for either to cut taxes or to pay for necessary programs.
So, Mr. Speaker, when you had the Center for Health Transformation, one of your scholars there, Jim Frogue, had written what I consider the basic book that every member of Congress ought to become familiar with, Stop Paying the Crooks, which dealt with the inappropriate, improper payments in Medicaid. And I think you're exactly right. And the oversight functions of, yes, our committees on energy and commerce, but in particular our budget committees. And pay attention to the Chief Financial Officers Act that was passed back in 1990. We need to use those parameters to be able to stop paying for things that we shouldn't pay for and allow those dollars to be used for what they were intended, what Congress passed the laws in the first place. So I thank the speaker for participating in our hearing and look forward to working with you next year when we actually have a chance to perhaps positively affect some of these things.
Gentleman's time has expired. I now recognize the